They were waiting in the back like a surprise party from hell. That's what Florida prosecutor Georgia Cableman said of the events that would lead to the killing of a Tallahassee man and the harrowing escape of another. Stick with us as we look into this terrible event. It was a warm day in Tallahassee, Florida, when Hoyt Birge and Peter Tournay stepped into a house for a simple drug deal. They had no idea they were walking into an ambush, one that would leave Hoyt dead on the floor and Tournay praying for his life just minutes later. Before we start, we would like to extend our deepest sympathies to the loved ones of Hoyt Birge and all of those affected by this devastating case. Every community, whether large or small, has within it a drug subculture, held together by loose associations, friend groups, dealers, suppliers, recreational users, and addicts. These local subcultures are places where everyone knows someone, either by name or reputation, who is either buying, selling, or holding. Tallahassee, Florida, in the shadow of the massive Florida State University, is no different. On May 8th, 2017, one car pulled up at a duplex in the 2600 block of Mission Road, just north of the Florida State University campus. Minutes later, a second car pulled up and a man got out along with two associates. In the first car was Peter "Crackhead Pete" Tournay, who had 10 prescription OxyContin pills, often called blues, that he wanted to sell. A man from the second car, Hoyt Birge, was going to introduce Pete to the buyer, Paige Vowell, a friend of his. Vowell shared a home with her boyfriend, Paige Briggs.
You're the first car that arrives there, correct?
Yes, sir.
You and Dee are sitting there pulled into the driveway in a car that Miss Briggs and any of the other occupants would not have recognized. Agree? You don't have frequent flyer miles over there, do you? You use those somewhere else?
Yes, sir.
So how long did you have to wait before Hoyt got there?
It didn't ring it through, and he pulled up pretty much right after that.
Okay, so he pulls up and there are two other occupants of his car, correct?
Hoyt's in the back seat, yes, sir.
Hoyt was in the back.
Yes, sir.
You knew the two gentlemen that accompanied him?
I didn't know him.
Know their nicknames? You need to answer
No,
out
sir.
loud.
No, sir.
Speaking of nicknames, you ever go by the nickname Crackhead Pete?
People's called me that.
Okay. So Hoyt gets out of the car and he comes up to your car. Is that accurate?
Yes.
You got out of your car.
No, I stayed in my car with the seatbelt still on.
Okay. And then Hoyt went up on his own? You didn't go into the house?
No, Hoyt came to my vehicle. He came to my window. And I was going to give him, hey, here you go. And he said, come on inside, let's go inside. I said, I don't want to go inside.
Okay. Nobody else is outside at that point, correct?
The doors open, the females are kind of like, not like, in and out. They're not like sitting outside, they'll walk out. They're like just hanging outside. The doors open.
Two people that are in Hoyt's car, they didn't come over to your window and talk to you, did they?
No.
They stayed in the car.
I think they got out, but they didn't go anywhere because Court basically told them, like, everybody stay out here.
Okay. So Hoyt's given that instruction, correct?
Yeah, he's trying to basically stay out here.
Two females are up at the door, the entry to the house, correct?
Yeah. I asked him.
Hoyt gives you the instruction that, hey,
No, he comes to my car.
comes to your car and says that you can go in with him, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I told him no. And I said, I want to stay here. And I asked if my friend can come. He said no.
And then you went in.
Vowell and her friend, Vicky Strickland, invited the two men inside. As the two men entered, Vowell shut and locked the door behind them. They had no idea what they had just walked into. As the two men tried to start the sale, 4 armed men came charging from a back room and all hell broke loose. 2 of the men carried pistols. One was armed with a carpenter's hammer and a 4th Patrick Borain carried an AK-47. There were immediate shouts to get on the floor and for someone to grab the men's cell phones. Pete hit the deck immediately and surrendered without a fight.
Did anybody say anything when they rushed out? Remember hearing any statements being made?
Not really. It was all jibber jabber being in. That was going on. I was still.
And when you said Paige said something, what do you remember what Paige said to you?
One thing he was saying to me was, "Get the fuck down, stay on the fucking ground. If you fucking move, I'll fucking shoot you."
Did you get down on the ground?
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, that bitch is big. Those are big guns. I was scared. Didn't go lie.
Did anybody attack you?
Yeah, I mean, after they basically got Hoyt.
How did they attack Hoyt?
Just got out of the room, just started, just kind of hitting him.
What did they hit him with?
To be honest, I don't know. They could put their pistols, multiple things out.
Did anybody hit you?
Yes.
Who hit you?
Yes, they did. I know Paige hit me in the head, because he was the one who got over me.
What did Paige hit you with?
You see?
You need an ambulance to come check you out?
No, I told him I was okay.
Alright, you don't want to get checked out?
I could feel it rushing, though. I could feel the blood, like when he said, he just did one quick,
What kind of gun was it?
It had this long barrel gun. Shotgun, I'm saying, I don't know. I'm not really familiar with guns. I don't mess with guns, man. That shit's scary.
Okay.
What's going on? That was my last breath. I don't know how I'm alive, man. That was it. You mixed those types of people.
Well, why did they stop attacking you?
They hit me a few times because my best bet was to earn their trust and get on their side. That was my best bet. Or you're going to die. So I was the only one there besides Hoyt.
So what happened to Hoyt?
Everybody talked out there, even afterwards. The whole reason, they were just even saying that the reason those dudes came is Hoyt was supposed to rob them.
So this is what they were talking about?
Yes, this is what they were.
Where were you when they were talking about it? You were sitting?
I was sitting. I was there in the living room. They were talking amongst each
Is that
other.
when you were did you already get hit at this point?
Yes.
Okay. Where was Hoyt when they were talking about this?
Talking about
When they were talking about Hoyt trying to rob him, where was Hoyt?
They were talking about he was already he was on the floor.
He was on the floor?
As soon as he basically got in there, within 30 seconds of him being in there, 20 seconds of him being in there, me being in there also, that's when they attacked him. And all you could hear was him screaming as they chased him around.
Okay. Was Hoyt still screaming when they were talking about Hoyt trying to rob him?
They used to talk about Hoyt.
Okay. So while they're talking, what happened?
It wasn't really no talking. It's simple. He came in and he said, "Hoyt, man, you got me out of here." I said, "Man, I told you I'd be somewhere." And then boom, that's when they came out the back.
Okay.
And I was...
So what ended up happening?
Basically, they were there for Hoyt. And all I'm thinking is, these bitches gonna kill me. They gonna kill me too. I seen Hoyt, they basically got him to the ground. I told officers, I was sitting there and this is me, basically the whole time. Once he got me down, just the whole time. But this is all I can see. And I was like this the whole time. The police is going to put their opinion up. That's all I could see like this because they couldn't. Because every time I moved, it would make a little sound, God. He's like, you fucking say anything, you fucking say anything. And I'm just trying to do whatever I can to stay alive.
So what happened to Hoyt?
They attacked him. Hoyt was basically running around, trying to do whatever he can, screaming, hollering. And they're hitting him. Hoyt was falling down on the ground. I'm already down on the ground. I can look because they can see him this way. I'm facing. I can be Hoyt's a few feet away. I can see it. I mean, I can see them hitting them. And I was like, it's kind of nippy out, you know. Over here. Yeah. I couldn't see because my head wasn't like this the whole time as I'm laying down, so I wasn't like that. You know, to be honest with you, I want to see as little as possible. And I grabbed the gun from Patrick.
What kind of gun did Patrick had? Was it big or small?
It wasn't a handheld. I didn't really see it. To be honest, but it was a gun.
So you grabbed Patrick's gun?
Patrick's gun, and it went off. Boom. And that's all everything. And you know, when everybody heard that, they were just boom. Just kind of spooked. And I thought I heard someone say, I'm hit. I said it was...
Who said they were hit?
I want to say it was Hoyt. He's like, I think I'm hit. And just kind of like, and that was the last I heard of him. The last voice I heard from Hoyt.
Everything stopped for just a moment. This wasn't supposed to have happened. For one side, it was a simple drug deal. For the others, it was something else, but it wasn't meant to be murder. In the days leading up to the incident, Briggs had been made aware that Birge and another man named Michael Cooper had been communicating through an instant messenger on Facebook chat about plans to rob Briggs of any drugs he had in the house and to steal his dog. In the later trial, Briggs would allege that he knew of Birge's history of violence and theft, and that, plus the messages, made him worried that Birge would rob and harm him.
Mr. Briggs, where we left off is you're leaving where you had gone to get a haircut. Who was with you?
Just me and Paige, pal.
Were you making her aware real time of the messages that you're looking at, that sort of thing?
Yes, I did.
Let's talk about what you knew also about Hoyt Birge. Were you aware that Hoyt Birge previously committed assault?
Yes, I was aware of that.
Were you also aware that Hoyt Birge previously committed burglary?
Correct.
And likewise, were you also aware that Hoyt Birge committed weapons offenses?
Yes.
Let's help the jury context. Did you know of any specific instances of involvement where Hoyt may have been violent or anything like that?
Before they happened, I heard a specific incident.
Briggs would testify that this reputation was enough for him to be worried that Birge was planning on doing something to him or his property. Rather than reporting it to the local police for a variety of obvious reasons, Briggs decided to take the matter into his own hands and turn the tables on the man who would rob him. Briggs asked his girlfriend, Paige Vowell, to contact Birge and ask him to get her some prescription painkillers. She did, and when Birge agreed to set something up, she asked him to come by the duplex where the transaction would happen. Briggs then gathered his friends to help intimidate and possibly beat Birge up when he came to make the deal. One of those friends, Patrick Birge, showed up with a JanSport backpack full of pistols and ammo, along with an AK-47 rifle. The weapons would drive home the point that Birge should be afraid of Briggs and that he should never consider robbing him, according to Birge's reasoning.
The only reason I am is because my dad was 2 gunshots in my head. He lived until I got safety my entire life. The only reason.
But then, everything went sideways. While Tournay was obviously terrified and surrendered immediately, Birge ran around the room and began to struggle with the assailants. Even after being struck with a hammer multiple times, he continued to fight back. And then it looked to some that he was trying to reach for his own weapons as his hands kept going into his pockets, according to Birge. Then, Birge grabbed at the barrel of Birge's AK-47 and he yanked. The gun went off and Birge was dead, shot at point-blank range. The situation went immediately from one of intimidating a local ne'er-do-well to killing a man they had invited into their home. Immediately, the group began trying to figure out how to cover it up. And Pete, terrified, did the only thing that he could. He pleaded with the other people and told them that he would keep this secret if they just didn't kill him. It saved his life.
Yeah, of course, like, they didn't plan, like, Pete, you came in the wrong place at the wrong fucking time.
That's what they told you?
Yeah.
Who told you that?
Paige said that? Paige said that. I mean, they said, you know, as they went on throughout the rest of the, the night, as they're, cleaning, doing whatever they're doing, trying to wash away whatever evidence or whatever they're trying to do. I just was like, I was just like this, like, wrong place, wrong fucking time, goddamn right.
So, what were they cleaning up?
They were cleaning. I seen the girl. They were Paige's girlfriend. They painted it, and then pushed out her. I'm sorry, I've been up for, I don't know how long I've been doing this forever. She was clean. I seen her clean the blood off the wall. I don't know if she had anything part of it, but to be honest, I mean, I would think that she would be allured. Why not? Because Hoyt always had a weakness for women. He loves his girls, you know? And I think that she could have lured him in there. That's what I'm thinking.
Where did they bring Hoyt?
And I think that was like the bait or something. Like, I was just, innocent bystander type. Like, okay, we'll just use him. Wrong place, wrong time. And, but what was the question?
So Paige's girlfriend is cleaning blood off the wall. What did they do with Hoyt?
Body stayed there for a while, for a little bit, until they would just put like all kinds of things wrapped up in like either towels, rugs, like a little white clear tarp, just whatever they could find really. He stayed there for a while as they discussed, what they're gonna do, and they kept asking me, Pete, you're not gonna fucking say anything, are you? Pete, you're not gonna fucking say anything, are you? And up to the bro, is anybody gonna say nothing, man? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I didn't think. It didn't matter anyway. I didn't think I was gonna make it. I didn't think I was gonna fucking live. I said, this is it, man. This is fucking, I'm done. And they're like, so do you know what happened? And I was like, that's the key. Survival. Whatever you can do to survive, do it. And that's what I did.
The group then took Birge's body and wrapped it in a white plastic tarp and carried it out to Pete Tournay's silver Toyota Camry and dumped it in the trunk. Another of Paige Briggs's friends had shown up just before everything went down. Jesse Fox had contacted Briggs earlier in the day to see if he could buy some drugs from him, but was told that it wasn't a good time to come over. 20 minutes later, Briggs called Fox back and asked him to help with a situation. When he arrived, he was told about the plan to intercept Hoyt's robbery attempt, handed him a pistol, and told him to wait outside behind the house in case he was needed. Fox said he looked in the window and saw them beating Hoyt and then heard the shot. He went inside and asked what had happened and then decided to get out of there. He ran out the back door, jumped over a fence, and took off. A short time later, as they were loading Birge's body into the trunk of Pete's Toyota, Fox returned and gave Briggs and Vowell a ride out of there. The two brought the firearms with them and gave the weapons to Fox to get rid of. The rest went on to ditch the Toyota and Birge's body. Two of the assailants took the car, along with Pete.
Who got the Camry?
Me, Patrick, and Sid. Sid drove, Sid goes, Sid says, I'll drive, he's the passenger.
Did you ever see the girl?
Yeah, the girl, she rode with us. She got into the car.
She got in the car?
Yeah, because it seemed like Sid was, like he didn't like that Patrick made the decisions, like break some girl, and the girl said, weird, because the girl said to Sid, like, she was a little drunk, she was like, I know what happened, like, da-da-da-da. And Sid was like, basically like, what do you mean, what are you talking about, but she didn't know what happened because, I guess Patrick had to tell her, someone had to tell her, I mean, she wasn't there.
Right. Did anyone ever say her name? Any reference to her name?
I've never seen her before.
Okay. So if she gets in, where did you guys go?
Driving. No, get in. They were talking about going to, Patrick was talking about, hey, I got a friend that we can go to. He's got plenty of land, you know, out there in the boonies. And they're from Monticello. And we had to keep Monticello at my parents' house, you know, because it's not too far. We kind of live on the outskirts. But my parents live by the Tallahassee Car Museum. And I was, you know, I had told you guys earlier, you guys like, man, you know, without saying anything would help me. Like, fuck, I'll give y'all money, I'll give you whatever. They had already took all my money out of my pocket. They took my phone, they took everything, my wallet, my driver's license, and that's what they said. They continue to say that, like, we know where you fucking live, we know your fucking parents, and we will kill you and your family if you say anything. That's exactly what they said. And my mom's my world.
So did they stop anywhere? Did they go to Jefferson County or Monticello, or?
We got to. I ended up, I don't know if they, but Sid ended up saying, like, I was going to give money, this was earlier in the night after all this stuff, so I was all frantic and shit. And he said, like, during the car ride as we're going down 90, he's like, I'll take you up on that. I was like, what? He goes, how much money are you going to bring me? I said, I got about $450, $400 in there or something. He agreed, and the whole thing back in my head, I was like, I was hoping they'd say, I hope they don't say, let's, because they're going to do the body thing. And I was hoping they don't go do that first, because I'm figuring, if they're going out to the woods, they're going to kill me. They're going to kill me. That's what they're going to do. That's what I have a fear in. And he ended up, he said, I was like, you just want to stop my house first? I said, I'll go ahead and get that for you. And I said, then we get, he said, yeah, so, you know, he pulls into, you know, Walden Road, that's where my parents stay at. And we're driving down the road, and I'm just like, thinking, like, what am I going to do? Like, what are they going to do? Are they going to walk me to the door? How's this going to be done? And I just said, hey, I didn't tell them my house, even though they have my driver's license and my address, because they even told me, plus they have it, because I don't know shit, my box is nothing. My house, I can see it because I know my neighborhood. I mean, we've lived there since '86. And as we're getting closer to my house, like probably a quarter mile, I'm just like, you know, I can see, I can see pretty far. I was like, hey, yeah, it's coming up right here. You know, I didn't want to tell them where I lived at, even though they pretty much knew. But I knew for that time being, I wanted to be safe. I was like, yeah, I want to make my mom safe. But I was like, because we passed the house, I was like, that road right here, just take a look. I'm kind of just going.
Do you know what road it was?
It's the road right next to my parents' house. It's my parents' house, Cordova.
Alright, so they turned out Cordova?
Cordoda. And Cordova's a very short street. It's probably about 40 yards long. It's just a little roundabout. Boom, and it goes back. There's probably about six houses up there. The whole area. And I didn't know what I was debating. Yeah, I was debating in my head, I was thinking, I'm going to do this. And I just said, park right here. Like, you go to the roundabout, because you got a house, as it goes around to the, in the back, as it gets toward the end of the street back to Walden. And I knew that there's a house right here, where they couldn't, like if they stopped right here, I knew they couldn't really see me go to my actual house. And they just parked right there. And he's like, you gonna go get that? I said, yeah, man, I'll go get it. He said, you got 5 minutes. You better be back in 5 minutes. And so I got in the car. I walked slowly out again for something, you know, because the sidewalk leads to the door. And they can't see after so long. As soon as I knew they couldn't see, I run to my house. And I know it's right next door, so I run. I'm beating on the door. Boom, 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 boom. And my mom finally, first I'm trying to knock on that one. I didn't know if they could hear from that. That's how scared I was. Like, I didn't know if they could hear. And eventually I could hear my mom, like, getting through and coming to the door. And she's thinking first, she's like, she's open. I'm just like, shh, it's okay. I'm just like, get them, please. Like, you know, inside, and immediately, first thing I do, I don't take a piss, I don't take a breath of air. Mom, and I'm trying to think how to say it, what to say, like, this is what happened, and I give it all. I told her everything. In fact, as I'm telling her, she's like, in the process, she's like calling 911. And I'm just like, yeah, call him. You know, fuck it. Yeah, I said, yeah, and then she's talking to the officer, I guess, on the phone. I said, man, this shit's serious, man. Those dudes had guns, they just, you know, I mean, what the fuck, the dude just died. I mean, obviously they're not fucking off. And that was it, she called, we waited, and she wanted to keep going outside my mom. I said, Mom, just get the fuck in the house, man, get the fuck in the house. These people are not playing. Officer went back, I guess by herself, check things out. And she wanted to see to us. This, Mom, let them deal with this. That's their job. That's their job, not yours. I need you.
Pete was free, and the police had been alerted to the crime. 2 of the men had driven off, headed back into town. There, they would stop at the U Club Apartments on North Woodward Avenue in Tallahassee and park Pete's Camry in a nondescript spot and even put a car cover over it, effectively hiding it from view. Hoyt's body would spend the night in that parking lot in the trunk, while Pete would spend most of the night in the local police station detailing what had happened. He was able to put aside his fear for his life and gave the details necessary for the police to move in and make their arrests. In a matter of a few hours, the conspirators would be transformed into defendants. Shortly after Pete Tournay was brought in by the police and questioned about the incident, the other participants were identified and arrested. Having spent time in jail with Briggs and Birge, Pete was easily able to identify and name them, while the others had to be tracked down through nicknames and aliases. In addition, police forensic teams swarmed to the Mission Road home of Briggs and Vowell to preserve the crime scene and gather any evidence that had not been destroyed by the assailants. Birge was found hiding at his girlfriend, Brittany Guthrie's apartment. As the police searched for him in the apartment, they were able to find ammunition magazines for the firearms and a box for a car cover that had been bought at an AutoZone store. A police officer searched the local parking lots and ran across a car covered over at the U Club Apartments and noticed that part of a bumper sticker sticking out from under the cover appeared to have blood on it. Removing the cover, they were able to identify that this was in fact Pete Tournay's technically stolen Toyota Camry. When they opened the trunk, they found Hoyt Birge's body wrapped in the white plastic tarp. In a matter of hours, all of the assailants and accessory participants had been rounded up with the exception of Fox, who had given Briggs and Vowell a ride away from the crime scene and had been tasked with disposing of the guns. It would be a couple of days before they were able to locate him, and after a short standoff, he surrendered to police and divulged that he had hidden the guns in a hollow tree with his intention to sell them at a later date. Of the participants brought in and arrested, only Vicky Strickland would suffer no punishment, as it quickly became clear that she had no foreknowledge of what was happening and was not a willing participant. The trials of those involved began a year later, in April of 2018. Paige Vowell, the girlfriend of Paige Briggs, was placed on the witness stand on her trial on April the 26th. She explained at the time of the incident she had a severe problem with drug addictions, both methamphetamines and painkillers.
In 2017, you kind of had a problem, didn't you?
I did.
You had a big drug problem, didn't you?
I
Tell the jury the extent of your drug problem. Drugs, what type of drugs were you doing? How often were you doing it?
I was using methamphetamines and opiates, mainly blues or Roxycontin.
You had a pretty bad addiction to them, didn't you?
I did.
These drugs that you basically needed to function daily with.
Yes, I had to have it every day.
Did your relationship with Paige Briggs turn out of a desire to get high, pretty much?
Yes.
Did you become acquainted with him as he supplied you with drugs? Tell the truth.
Well, we had to. I met him while drinking one night, and then the next day he introduced me to meth. And from then on, it's all I did, all day, every day.
Did you know him to be a drug seller?
Yes, he did turn into, yes.
prior to when this happened, is that correct?
That's correct.
She then went on to speak of how she knew Hoyt Birge.
Did you also know Hoyt Birge?
I didn't know it.
Did you know Hoyt Birge?
Using drugs and hanging out.
Was he someone that would supply you with drugs as well?
Yes, he did.
Did y'all do drugs together?
We did.
Were you ever romantically involved?
No, he was just a really good friend.
The house she shared with Briggs was a center for drug activity, both sales by Briggs and people just constantly hanging out. She described it as an environment where people were constantly doing meth all hours of the day. No one was sleeping, just coming and going. She would then tell the jury how all of those involved interacted with each other and how their relationships developed.
Stanley West and Vicky Strickland were frequent overnight guests at the Mission Road house, right?
Yes, they were there for extended periods of time.
What about David Howard?
He would come over sometimes to discuss his business he was trying to launch. It's a party bus thing that he was trying to launch with Paige Briggs.
They were trying to launch and start a business?
A party bus.
Party bus, okay. What about Jesse Fox? Did you know him?
Yes, I did.
Tell the jury how you knew Jesse Fox.
Jesse Fox would come over and buy drugs from Paige Briggs, and he also worked with him for a little bit.
And it's my understanding when Paige, Mr. Briggs wasn't selling drugs, he was in some type of pool business, is that correct?
Yes, that was, he was until he eventually lost his job, but due to the drug use.
Then tell the jury how you knew Patrick Borain.
Patrick Borain sold Paige Briggs weed, and Paige Briggs sold weed as well. So he sold Paige Briggs larger quantities, and that's how they knew each other, and that's how he came over to the house quite often.
Now, as far as Hoyt Birge, he had come over to this house on Mission Road multiple times prior to when he was killed, correct?
Yes, he has been over quite often.
You would do drugs there with him a lot, correct?
Correct.
And was Mr. Briggs present when y'all would do drugs? Sometimes.
He was.
Other people were present.
Right.
Vowell would then lay out what happened on the day of the killing that led up to the confrontation.
May 8th. Let's talk about that day, okay? Start with the best you can. Every detail that you can remember. What you did when you woke up.
I woke up, and Paige had mentioned to me that I needed to take him to his probation office. I then proceeded to, later on, before we went to his probation office, I had contacted Hoyt to try and, well, actually I had been talking to him earlier that day, asking him when Katie's funeral was. It was a mutual friend that had passed away. And then I asked him if I could get if he had any blues that I could buy. From then, me and Paige went to go to his probation office. I dropped him off and saw his probation officer.
Did anyone else go to the probation office with you, Paige?
No.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. What happened next? Did you go to probation?
Yes, we went to his probation office. I waited outside on my phone. And
now, this may sound like a stupid question, were you driving the car?
I was driving the car.
What car was it?
It was Stan's car.
Stan's car?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I assumed that Vicky and Stan maybe were at the house still when you got up?
Yes, they were.
Okay.
I don't think we had been to sleep though, so.
Would you have been doing drugs, I assume, the night before?
It was always doing drugs, so.
Okay.
After his probation office, I took him to go get his haircut. We were waiting outside, and he told me that he didn't need to get his haircut, that someone was planning to rob him. And I asked him who, and he said, Coop.
Okay. This is the first time that you learned of a robbery, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and it was your understanding that Coop wanted to rob him?
Yes.
Okay. But then you had already contacted Hoyt prior in the day, if I'm understanding you correctly, to get blues, correct?
Right.
Okay. Well, what happened when Hoyt said that? Keep telling the jury what happened.
He told me that Coop was planning to rob him, so we went immediately back to the house. Later on, he's trying to...
Okay, stop for a second.
Okay.
When you get back to the house, who's at the house?
Stan and Vicky and Patrick Rain, and I don't think David's there. I'm not sure, but I don't think he's there.
When you get to the house, how much time is it? I'm assuming you don't wake up like a normal individual like that.
We hadn't been to bed yet, so...
In terms of time, when you get back to the house, what time?
Maybe 2 p.m. Early afternoon. And we were just, still doing, we're passing around the little bubble thing.
What's a bubble?
It's what you smoke right now.
Okay. When Paige Briggs had told you about this robbery, what was your thought regarding it? I mean, that's not something that people are normally told. What did you think of it?
I thought it was crazy, but then again, you hear about stuff like that all the time when people that do meth, everyone's trying to rob everybody. I didn't think much of it.
That meant that someone was going to rob y'all when you were there with guns, like when the Asian robbery? Did you think they were robbing y'all weren't there and you could catch them? Tell the jury what you thought would.
I thought that, Paige only told me that Coop was trying to rob him. I knew Coop. I was friends with Coop. I didn't really think anything of it He just said that Coop was planning to rob him.
Did you think that it was just in blacked out state from their description?
I just thought he was going to rob Paige for his meth, which often happens. People steal people's drugs.
Did you think that it was Paige just acting stupid or crazy, or did you really believe him?
I really believed him. But I wasn't really concerned about that. Honestly, I was starting to go into withdrawal, so I wasn't concerned about that. Everybody was getting ready. He was getting ready. There was cameras that he was, making sure that he could see in case Coop came to rob him.
Okay, and when you've gotten back to the house, I think you identified, you get there with Paige Briggs. Vicky's already there, correct?
Correct.
Stan's already there.
Correct.
Okay, Patrick's there.
Correct.
And David Howard shows up at some point in time?
Yes.
Okay. What do you see them doing, if anything, in the house?
Well, really, we're just using drugs. Like, we're just smoking and...
And let me ask you a question about that. After you report to probation, you kind of know you're not going to get your urine test for a while, right?
Right.
So maybe the drug usage even a little more heavier by certain individuals?
Yes.
Keep telling the jury what happened.
Well, Paige had asked me if he could get some blues.
Paige
Briggs, yes. He asked me if I could text Hoyt and get some blues. I told him Hoyt was already going to come by so I could get blues. And he said, good, I want to talk to him when he comes by. That's all I knew. That's all that happened. And from then till Hoyt got there, I was just smoking.
Vowell's testimony puts the events of the day into a different light. While it does not change the outcome, or that this was an ambush of Birge and Pete Tournay, it does set the stage for those waiting in the house that were already in a heightened state of paranoia about the robbery, since many of the people there had not slept in some time and that methamphetamines had been smoked extensively that day. The situation was going to be a powder keg just waiting to be ignited. The addition of firearms to the situation made it a recipe for disaster. That only one person was killed may well have been something of a miracle. Under cross-examination by the prosecution, a different view of Vowell came out. One that wasn't just that of a drug-addled person caught up in something beyond her control.
Birge liked you, didn't he? Was he sweet on you? later that night.
How could you possibly know? You don't know anything else because you're under the influence of Xanax. You don't know the answer to this.
I remember that night very clearly.
Briggs was ticked off about the Facebook messages, correct?
I guess he was.
And when you were asked on direct about that, you kept saying Coop, Coop, Coop. He was mad at Coop, but he was mad at Hoyt too, right?
I mean, he said that he had wanted to talk to Hoyt.
Wanted to talk to him?
Wanted to talk to Hoyt and ask him why Coop wanted to rob him.
What he said was he wanted to teach him a lesson, isn't that right?
No.
Isn't that what you told Don Carmen?
No.
He wanted to rough him up, isn't that what he said?
No, I've never said that.
Okay, so is Hoyt Briggs the kind of guy that talks out his problems when somebody's trying to steal his drugs?
I don't know.
I'm sorry,
I don't.
Paige
What do you
Briggs.
mean? I didn't know that Hoyt was a part of that.
You didn't know that Hoyt was a part of the plan to rob?
Yes, I did not know until after.
So when Paige Briggs looked at the phone, the messages that were left open on his phone,
And he showed them to Pete.
and he screenshotted them, fair enough to screenshot them, right? I've seen evidence of that here today.
Yeah, yes.
But he didn't show them to you.
He showed them to me after.
After what?
After Hoyt died. I had no idea. I didn't even know.
He asked you to get Hoyt over there, did he not?
No, I had already called Hoyt to have him come over.
Why did you tell Donald Carmen that Briggs wanted you to get Hoyt over there so that he could rob him?
I didn't tell him that.
So he's mistaken.
He's lying.
The officer that says you said Hoyt was a little too sweet is mistaken.
I didn't say that. I said I don't recall. I do not recall that car ride at all.
You didn't think anything about him wanting to talk to you. When Stan and Vicky went to pick up a crap load of guns, you didn't think anything of that.
I didn't even know they went to go pick up a crap load of guns.
And when people were walking around your home wearing bulletproof vests, you didn't think anything of that.
He wasn't wearing a bulletproof vest.
And when you called Hoyt to come over, were you flirtatious with him?
No, Hoyt's always flirtatious with me.
And were you flirtatious back?
No, I was nice. We're friends.
Did he know that your boyfriend was there?
Yes.
Why did everybody park somewhere else? Why was the house all dark?
I don't know. I didn't have a car. Neither did Paige. I don't know what other people were doing. I can't say what other people were doing or what other people were thinking. I can only say what I know I was thinking and what I was doing.
I'm asking you, did it seem strange to you when no cars were coming from your house at the Did it seem strange to you that at a party house, that parties all night, music blaring all night, black lights, whatever, God knows whatever else, that all the lights were out? Did it seem strange to you that after Hoyt gets a phone call and announces Paige gets a phone call and announces that the victim, Hoyt, is on his way over, everyone gets up and goes to their places?
No, what? That didn't happen.
You mentioned that everyone did get up and go to other rooms.
No, I didn't.
You didn't say that all the boys were in another room.
I said that they were chilling in another room, using drugs and stuff like they usually always are.
And did they remain really quiet for about 5 minutes between the time that Paige got the phone call and made an announcement and the time that Hoyt knocked on the door?
I don't know. I wasn't taking auditory records of what was going on.
But would it seem odd to you if everyone got up and went to other rooms and stayed perfectly quiet for 5 minutes in the dark?
If that's what, I mean, that would be odd if that's what happened, but that's not what happened.
So you didn't get any clue about what was going on in the minutes that led up to
No.
Hoyt coming up to that door?
If I had known anything was going to happen to Hoyt, I would have never let him come in that door, ever.
Did you lock the door behind Hoyt and Pete?
I don't know if I locked it, but I know whenever we do drug deals, we usually do have the door locked. If it was me or somebody else, I don't know.
What type of locks did you have?
Deadbolt.
And how how is it that if you know what was going to happen, you would have done something to stop it? Weren't you too afraid to do anything to stop it?
Yeah, that was after something had happened. Before, I had no idea anything was going to happen.
Right, but you still got the 4 armed men present there, right? Before.
They weren't armed. I didn't see anyone armed.
And these guys aren't always armed? I thought you said there were always guns.
There's always guns in the house.
But there's not always people walking around with guns.
Correct.
But in this case, there were.
After it happened, yes.
And before it happened.
When they came barging in the room.
So are you saying that you did not see any guns prior to them barging in the room?
No, I did not see anyone walking around with guns.
And you're saying that nobody was wearing a bulletproof vest?
I don't know if it was, Paige, I don't know if he was wearing a bulletproof vest or not. Because it's not like he's worn these before. I mean, I can't recall. I don't know.
You're a convicted felon, aren't you?
Yes.
The gatekeeper to a pretty big time meth house, aren't you?
I mean, that's what Jesse referred it to as, but I wouldn't call myself a gatekeeper.
Live with, hang out, and run with people that always possess firearms. Is that right?
I was hanging out with people I shouldn't have been.
Before resting the state's case against Vowell, prosecutor Georgia Capelman tried to bring the event into a sobering focus. For 2 minutes, the amount of time Hoyt Birge was beaten by the men, she stood in silence and showed photos of his bloodied and battered corpse to the jury before speaking again.
And then Hoyt was shot. And for 10 to 20 seconds, he laid there bleeding. He observes her yelling obscenities at Hoyt. And he even sees her get a lick in. She's all in for this, folks. And she does absolutely nothing to help him. He laid there bleeding, asking for help, begging these people that he knew to call someone. And then he began to choke on his own blood, and then he lost consciousness. And all of these people stood around and watched. Although medical intervention could have saved this man, these people did nothing. Just watch this young man die. You have learned negative information about Hoyt Birge during this trial. The defense says this is just a bunch of druggies, doing what druggies do. He was over there to sell pills. He was gonna rob. Hoyt Birge was a human being.
It took a jury 5 hours of deliberation to find Paige Vowell guilty of first-degree murder and kidnapping. Her conviction rested upon the argument that she knew the plans to rough up Hoyt, and the testimony of another defendant, Fox, said that he saw her hit the man at least once with the hammer. She received a sentence of life in prison. Paige Briggs, David Howard, and Stanley West would all be found guilty of third-degree murder, 2 counts of false imprisonment and theft. Briggs, Howard, and West would each receive sentences of 30 years in prison. Patrick Borain was also convicted of third-degree murder and false imprisonment. He was given a sentence of 40 years in prison. Whether he intended to create a robbery of his own or not, Hoyt Birge was lured into a trap and betrayed by a friend. Peter Tournay was just a guy trying to sell some drugs who happened to fall into the ultimate wrong situation. One made it out alive, the other was killed and left in the trunk of a stolen car. That was little comfort to the survivor of that terrible event. Just the knowledge that he was able to keep his cool and eventually make an escape might be some satisfaction. It is our hope that he has set out on a different, safer path in life.
I've been drug-free for a couple years now almost. I quit cigarettes even. I'm out the whole scene. What am I doing? These days working. I'm working 2 jobs. I do brick, block, and I do foundation. So basically I do concrete. That's what I do for a living as we speak. You know, I'm just really thankful to be alive, be well,